Hello, good evening. Good evening. Welcome. 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 I want to share briefly what I have termed four factors that contribute to financial struggles or lifelong. We can struggle financially all our lives, all our lives. This is possible because of the some of the factors that I want to share. They say that very few people live without ever worrying about not having enough financially. The percentages are very high. They categorize them, and about 20% will live with barely nothing to eat. Of the world's population. Then the next 20-30% still struggle. They may not beg to eat, but that is like the salary must come or nothing else will happen. And then they say the next 30-40% also, they have nice houses, nice cars, they dress neat, but they don't have the leverage over money because they have not come to a point where if they don't work, they will not. If they don't work, they will not be able to keep that standard of living that they have. So, they look nice, dress, they have big houses, but they virtually slaving their lives away because it is uh, it is contingent on them going to work. And they say that just about 1 to 5% of the world's population, including the richest countries in the world, would not have to worry about money, whether they were able to build big businesses in their lifetime or whether somebody else built, maybe their ancestors, their families, were able to build a lot of wealth. Now, if you come to our part of the world, that is another story. So, people, maybe when you were growing up, you saw your parents always complaining about money or having to wait for the end of the month for them to get something for you. Maybe your school fees, you had to struggle most of the time to be paid on time. And if something ever happened to the breadwinner, that was it. That was it. We have met, or you may have known friends, or you yourself may have, where people who maybe the father died and they had to stop going to school, or the mother died and they had to stop going to school. These are things that are rare. So I want to share some of the four factors that I think may contribute to you or to me having financial struggles all our lives. And it does not just stop. There has to be some kind of determination to make those things stop, or we will struggle all our lives because there is no break with life. There is no holiday. I think the only holiday you have is maybe before 10 or before 12. The moment you hit the 15s and you're going, the moment you hit the 20s, there's no break. They push you through school, and then when you are through the school, they have to find a job for you. And the moment you get a job, they want you to, start a family, marry somebody. And the moment you marry, they want you to have build a house. And when you build a house, they want you to, you know, the next minute you see your children also coming up, going through it, you have to pay school fees. So it's a cycle. It's not that much simple. And so if you don't take care, your grandmother was struggling with money or struggled with money all her life. Your grandfather probably struggled. And then maybe your father himself struggled and you are struggling, your mother struggled. And this is not something that we trivialize because it's a fact that finances play a major role in this life. And it really does not even so much matter which part of the world so you live, because it's been, it's a system that runs, and whether it's in Africa or another part of the world, people struggle with money. People struggle with money. It's a pain, where people don't even know what has been saved for the next 30, 40, 50 years. And I think that based on where I stand, the kind of environment that I have grown up in, I think that some of the factors, the main one is the fact that the educational system that they bequeath to us, the educational system that they push us through, they send us through, prepare us, and it only prepares us for the general life. It hardly ever takes any consideration in terms of finances. That's it. So you can see somebody who has gone through all this education, he has come out and he knows very little about how important money is and how it is structured and how to be independent of the influence of money. It's not taught. It's not the knowledge that taught. And the thing about life is that most of us will never step off and even acquire knowledge that was not given in the classroom, or that was not on TV, or that was not taught maybe in the church. And so adults grow up and they know very little about money. And I think that is one of the reasons the education, the education, the education, the education, the system of education has not helped us, mainly in our country, Ghana. So, you, because we so much believe in this kind of education, we hardly would even think that that education was not much enough for us not to struggle, or you hardly would even think that it ever contributed. Thank you, thank you. And yes, thank you. I take time with heart and care. That's why I like you. Okay. And so you hardly would ever realize that the program that the school has given you is really why you probably struggle all your life with finances. It's not something that would easily come up for people to accept it, because the people, especially the people that we have sent to school, the people that we have sent to school, okay, the people that we have sent to school, the people that we have sent to school don't, they trivialize it. I think they trivialize it. They trivialize the importance of money, even though they struggle to get it. They trivialize it, and they trivialize it because of the training, because of the preparation that they had with money. And so the education system can contribute mainly to why people struggle all their lives, when it comes to money. And they want to say that it's not anything, it doesn't mean anything, it's one of those things. No, a lot of the struggles that we struggle in this life is because we don't have enough of money. If you, when you're going to school and every time your father will call you and say that go, I'll come and pay the school fees. It's not because he didn't like you or he didn't love you and he didn't want to come and pay. It was not there. And you probably were not the only one or the only child that he had. And when you will come home and you had to look for a place to stay, the clothes and everything, it was a struggle. So you could see that a family with about 4 children, the mother, father, 4 children, it takes a lot to take care of such family every month. It takes a lot. They say that by the time that the child is through to maybe secondary school level in our country, maybe 18, the average expenditure on a child probably is about 150 to 200,000 Ghana cedis. And so if you didn't struggle, it means that that kind of money was probably spent on you, and you know it that most of us would go through secondary school struggling, and then when you get to the university, it's the same kind of thing. It's because the parents were also brought up by the same kind of education, and that was not enough to help us to overcome the struggles in terms of life with money. And the other one is over dependency on salary. Over dependency on salary. If you see anybody who waits for salary before they move, financially they will struggle all their lives. Financially, they will struggle all their lives. Very few people are paid monthly salaries. That is the only source of revenue that they have that can live comfortably without worrying about money. So, if they program you, if they told you that once you depend on salary, all your life will be okay, that has contributed to why you always want to think about money. Want to think about money. You look you do the only source of revenue is the salary. That's very much a contributing factor to why you struggle and worry about finances all your life. Because you cannot depend. Most people, maybe 99% of the people who work for salary, cannot depend on the salary. It's a fact of life. It's a fact of life because the salary is not even the net. It's not like you have taken the transport, you have taken the house, you have taken the food, you have taken everything else, and what is left. Most people, by the time that the month is about two, they are almost always, the month is maybe the 2 weeks into the month, the salary is already gone. Why? Because it's not enough. They don't pay us for us to get into prosperity stage. They pay us so that we will come to work almost every time. So if you didn't have any strategy all your life and what you knew was for you to just get salary and work for it and depend on it to take care of you and your family, it's going to be difficult. It's not going to work. So you're going to struggle. That's those It's not demon, no. And if you don't have job at all, then your case is different. If you don't have any salary coming in and you don't have anything that brings you money, yes, I'm married, and you don't have anything coming in, uh, then the struggle is another level. So if you see anybody struggling with finances, it's either they don't have any revenue coming in, or the salary that is coming in is not enough. These are facts. These are facts. So the second one is dependency, where you've been conditioned to depend on salary and to wait for salary. And once you are waiting for salary, that is it. Financially, you're going to go through a lot of struggles, and nobody else is responsible for that but you. So if you see yourself struggling financially, it's because you are relying solely on the salary. And nobody relies on salary all their lives and become financially okay. Not rich, not a millionaire, but at least the one that you know that that house can be paid for, that rent can be paid for, that food can be paid for, the children's school fees can be taken care of. Those things. Uh, the way I see it, many people all their lives are struggling. Many people all their lives are struggling because you don't depend on salary. Okay, thank you. Many people depend on salary, and that's why the struggle is real. The salary just would have to just be a part of the money that the household needs. But if that is the only one that we wait for, not many people are paid that big money because the household spends a lot of money. If you sit down to calculate what you depend on, you know that a lot of money goes away. Let's say you and the wife, and let's say you have a child or two. There is the house, whether it's rent or you're paying or you had to build it. There will be water, there will be electricity, there will be transport or the car, there will be school fees, there will be food, there will be data, there will be mobile phone, the clothes, and those are just the family. How about the other engagements in the society? You go to church, you go to church, you go to church, you go to church, you go to funerals, your brothers and sisters are there, friends will call you. So you can see that most adults all their lives struggle. Struggle. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Jesse. Because most adults struggle all their lives. And so some of the factors that you may want to consider is that if the struggle must reduce, then it means that there should be more than one salary, or there should be more than one income. There should be more. Whether there is other things that you have to do and plan, all your life, because we tend to believe that along the line things will improve, things will change. The way I see it is not really like that. Things don't just improve and things don't just change. We have to have a plan and to work towards it, or we will struggle all our lives financially. If you remember the time you were 20, maybe you didn't have anybody. Most people who come from average families, not so well to do families, struggle their lives financially. And they hope that by the time that they are through with this education and they get salary, the condition will change. Then the thing is that the education that they gave you did not solve that primary duty of a man who does not have money. And then you happen to have a job, and salary is not the way to kill financial struggle. It can contribute to it. That is, if you have proper financial plan, but itself cannot make you not struggle financially. The other thing that can contribute is over reliance on luck, on religion and superstition, over reliance on prophets and pastors, and waiting for their word to become prosperous. I think most people have become poor, and most people have wasted their life when that was their financial strategy. That should not be a financial strategy. You should not live your life waiting for somebody to give you word, and that word will break you into prosperity. That is dangerous. I know people who have lived all their life waiting for a prophet somewhere to give them some kind of revelation, some kind of word of knowledge, or a pastor somewhere to give them some revelation. And the moment they get that revelation, all their finances will be okay. Or some miracle somewhere. Or somewhere, the miracle, they're waiting for miracle. And once that miracle happens, their finances will be okay. I think that financial independence, financial prosperity is a build-up. I don't think that it's just going to be one situation, one miracle that will just take you out of poverty and make you prosperous all your life. I think that is more of the fact that it's a practice. What do you do as work? Yeah, I'm a business person. And my education, I train as an engineer. I'm an entrepreneur. I live in Ghana. I'm talking from Ghana now. So don't wait for a pastor, because there is a whole section of our population, which, especially those of us who are Christians who go to church, we've been conditioned, most of us, been conditioned to wait for some supernatural power somewhere to give us financial prosperity. And I think that has made a lot of people wait for far too long. And by the time they see that that thing was not solely responsible for them overcoming the financial struggles, they probably were late. Financial independence has to do with different things. It's not just some prophet somewhere, because now every now and then you see a prophet somewhere declaring that he has power to make you rich. Every now and then you see somebody saying that he's been ordained by God to lift you out of poverty. And almost, it's a pain, but it's true that most people go to church because they want to find out what to do with their lives. They want to get out of the struggles of life, out of the pain of life. And the fact is that the pains of life, the struggles of life, we go there because we hope that somebody will declare and break some curses and demons over us. When it comes to finances, I don't think that there is any demon responsible for your finances. Your struggle is going to be until you know that you are responsible for it. I don't think waiting for a prophet, waiting for a pastor to give you some magic, some miracle, will help you to overcome poverty and to overcome the financial struggles. Don't worry about all the testimonies that everybody is coming to give every time. They're not necessarily true. You don't have data to support that. Most of them, they just have to keep on doing those to keep us conditioned. But you know your situation. You know that you have been going through this. They've been telling you this for the last 10 years. Nothing has changed. Not much has changed. Because that will not be the reason why your financial struggles will be over. Your financial struggles are going to be over because you decided to take charge of your life. So the way they continue to take advantage of us is appalling. It's painful. it's appalling. It's painful. Yes, I agree. It's painful because we run with the knowledge that we came to meet, the knowledge that they condition us to have. So when you're growing up and you hear that, God is responsible for this, God is responsible. We have some girls working for us or working with us, and some of them, if they have any difficulty, they will say that I'm going to see my prophet. Like, for what? You are not healthy, and instead of you to go to hospital, you said I'm going to see my prophet. This is what you can't blame them. This is what they grew up to know. And the same with the pastors, same. So they are trying to give our people a financial plan, and that financial plan is what they are teaching us. So they say that you will get a miracle somewhere, they'll have to break a demon over your life, then you get prosperity, you become rich. But then data should support the argument. And so if anybody is telling you that, go track for the last 10 years, how many people have they made rich? How many people are billionaires in the world who became billionaires because they spoke over them? If you want to overcome the financial struggles, it has nothing to do with that. Because after all, when they finished talking, they took offering, they took the tithe. And so that should give you some sense that your financial struggles is not because you went to church Sunday, because that's all we know. In a part of the world, if you want to overcome anything, if there is a pain, we just run and say that let's pray about it. That's the only solution that we know. And I think most people's life have gone into detour because of this program, because it's not going to solve it. You look at people struggle all their lives. They go to church every day. You go to church to serve God, but you don't go to church to get to get prosperous. It's not part of the equation. Then everybody who has money should be going to church, and that is not the case. So my name is Obedako. I'm talking about some of the four factors that will help you to, that may have contributed to the financial struggles that you have had all your life. And most people, most humans on this earth struggle financially all our lives, partly because of the education that they gave us. I mean, from primary school to secondary to university, I didn't hear any of the lecturers, you know, give us any proper plan, proper tutorials as to what to do to overcome financial struggles. As a matter of fact, they were always on aluta. So they go for what do they call it? They will not come to teach because they want a salary increase. So they didn't know better. So how could they teach us to also overcome the very thing that they were dealing with? And so the education system, they train us to believe so much in it, said that we don't even think that there is any other information that you will need outside what they gave us, especially if you ended up with some degree or something. You so much believe that. Then after a while, it dawns on you that it was not enough. It was not enough. So the education system they train you to give you profession, they train you to give you some kind of knowledge, which is very good, but it's not solely going to be responsible for for you to overcome financial struggles. For you to overcome that, even the second one, the dependence over reliance on salary cannot also overcome that. If you have to wait for the salary, if your only source of income is the salary, then you have to be about just the 2% of the highly paid people. Other than that, we are going to struggle. We are going to struggle, because life, you started alone. The next minute, they have pushed you to go and marry. The next minute, they have pushed you to give birth to a child. The next minute, they're asking you when do you want to build your house? The next minute, you want to change your car. So it's constant expansion of expenses. That is life. And the salary does not correlate like that. It does not grow with the expansion of life. Just about the last 10 years, we were a single boy. You didn't have any problem. You didn't even have any girlfriend. Then the last 10 years, look at what has happened. You probably married, you have children. Now they are pushing you every day. And you look at the salary increment, if they were paying you 5,000, over the last 10 years, they have not paid you 20,000 now. If it's multiplied by 2, that means that you have even been gracious, I mean, you've been graced, so to say. So the salary increment and the expenditure and the expansion of the expenditure, they don't meet, which means that if you're going to grow living and waiting and conditioned to depend on only salary and only one salary, financially you are going to struggle. No matter how much they pay you. Because the thing about life is that if you have single room now and they pay you 5,000, the moment they pay you 20,000, you want to move from the single room to, an apartment. Nothing has changed. Your money is still going. You are not going to be that much independent. So um, that contributes to that. So the education contributes. The over reliance and dependency on salary also make us struggle all our life. Okay, no problem. No problem. And the next one is when you think that your money, some pastor somewhere will pray for you and you get miracle. Or like they tell us, if you give money to church, or if you give money to, if you pay your salary, your tithe, and all those conditions that they have told us, then you will not have financial difficulties. Do them if you want to, but they are not the ones going to be responsible for you overcoming financial struggles. I've seen people who have done this all their lives, and yet every day they struggle financially. So the finances are in different ball game, different ball game. The fourth one is lack of financial knowledge. Lack of financial knowledge. When we don't willingly study about finances, when we don't willingly learn about it, when we just stay there, uh, when you just stay there to you know wait that things will improve without knowing that your financial knowledge is responsible for whatever struggles, whatever difficulties that you are having financially. That is a major block, because most people don't know that the finances are not going to change until they improve on the financial knowledge. Most people don't know that. Most people have no clue that that is the bottom line. All our financial struggles, all our financial difficulties are there because we have very little knowledge on the finances. That's why we struggle. That's why we struggle. Poverty is just a coefficient, or it's just a derivative of weak financial foundation. And the foundation mainly begins with the knowledge first. What we think about money, how we think about money, what we know about it. Because those who have it, what they know about it, and those who don't have it and what they know about it, they're entirely different. They're entirely different. The people who have been able to have enough not to worry so much about money, they know something that the people who constantly struggle and worry and all decisions and choices are just about money. What they know about money is different from the other people who have had enough. So the threat really is on the financial knowledge. Financial knowledge. So the lack of it is contributing to our struggle, and the struggle is not going to decrease, it's going to increase until you get better financial knowledge, which is stronger than I ask because I'm going to have a big money and I could do so with 10,000. Okay, but I don't have any foundation. I don't do that. Maybe you can have, maybe, which country do you want to go? Then maybe you can find out people who are into these areas. And so the financial knowledge is important. The financial knowledge is important. It's very much important because it's going to help you to correct all the errors that you grew up with. Because the struggles are rare. And it doesn't matter what car they drive, what house they live in, where they work. Almost every now and then people have difficult financial struggles all our lives. And it doesn't just stop when you get to 50 or 40. If you don't take care, it will stay with you for the rest of your life. And most people, they doesn't even matter the countries they live. There are Africans who have moved from here, gone to live in America, for instance, and the financial difficulties are not over. And there are those of us who have moved, gone to live in for food and water, yes. But in terms of saying that I'm not going to go to work for the next 2 years and I'm going to be fine, I will have my house intact, I'll be able to pay my children's school fees, and I'll be able to go to the hospital. Those things, those things, not many people have overcome that. That's not how the world has been programmed. And it's because, for me, let's start about four. It's because of one, the education. Because they push you through education for 15 years or 20 years. And they never teach you anything about these things. Yet, at the end of the education, you're going to work for these things. Let's face it, most people work because of money. If they will not pay them, they will not. If they go to work and they won't pay them, they will not go. So, if you were going to go to work and to be paid, and if they were not going to pay us, we will not go. Why would you want to educate us for 20 years and not teach us anything about it, not tell us anything about it? We just like a feed. They just train us as a feed. Whether you're a lawyer, engineer, doctor, it doesn't matter. I train as engineer. They didn't teach us anything about it. Nothing. So any knowledge that I had on money never came from the school. And so if I happen to have come from a poor background where my mother didn't know anything, my father didn't know anything, and they didn't teach me anything about money, then where do you think I'm going to pick the financial knowledge from? So I could become a head of department, or could become a head of an institution, yet I know nothing about money. I could even be an accountant and I still don't know much about it, other than working for it and waiting to be paid. And so all my life, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to struggle. Because every one of us would want to become better, would want to live a better life. That's a fact of life. So it does not matter whether they pay me 1,000 Ghana cedis a month or 10,000 Ghana cedis a month. Because if they pay me 10,000 cedis a month, I still want to change the car. I still want to change where I live. I want to change the school of my children. I want to dress better. I want to go to the party and tell them that I've been blessed. So it's the same number, it's the same knowledge. Not much changes. So in terms of the struggle, you can see that everyone is possibly struggling with the money. Well, I would travel many buses and help people buy food and water. Okay, all right, no problem. But I am not into that. Yeah. So the struggles are rare. And I remember growing up, I saw my father struggle with finances. And my conclusion is that because he didn't know that he didn't know. He didn't know that he didn't know. And that his training was weak. And that he didn't have any better information on money. The other thing was that he probably was relying so much on the monthly salary. So he had no other income coming in apart from the pay that the government was paying him. And if anybody is like that, obviously there will be struggle. If you're waiting for the monthly pay all the time, there will be struggle. It's not demon, it's not the devil, it's just the fact of life. And the other thing is that if you are waiting for superstition, miracle, prayer to change your financial situation, like the way when you all go to jail, the way they are telling us, they pray for us and they put anointing oil on us, and they say that because they have put some oil on us, we'll be rich. Those things. The earlier you see that your finances are your duty, the better. Don't believe in all those. They don't change anybody's financial situation. It's a practice. It's a lifestyle. If you want to overcome the struggles, it's a practice. It's a lifestyle. And you look at the financial knowledge that you have and what you can correct. Because if you don't have the proper financial foundation, it will be a struggle. And most people struggle financially. Most people struggle. All our lives we struggle. Because we tend to believe, when you were a child, or especially those of us who were very much academically, you were there. So they pumped our confidence and our hope that because you're academically sound, you have better prospects of life. That is not true. You could have better prospects as to becoming an engineer, as to becoming a doctor, a lawyer. But most engineers, most doctors, most lawyers, they struggle. They struggle. It doesn't matter the lifestyle, because the thing is, not struggling with money has nothing to do with the lifestyle. Somebody could be in a 10-bedroom house and he built all that house with his money. He has nothing. He has nothing. No revenue comes in. He has very little knowledge in terms of what to do to get more than what he spends. And so most people just get what they spend They get in and they spend it. They get in and they spend it. They get in, they spend it. So he's just getting more by spending everything. There's not much saved to take care of any eventuality. So it doesn't matter. It's either you get one CD that you're spending, all the one CD, or you get 10,000 and you're spending all the 10,000. It's all struggle. And that's what most people go through. But the average person on the street does not know that the man with the Land Cruiser is struggling. He doesn't know. He doesn't know because you go to the office, they are suit and tie, so you think they are okay. Most people, it's just month to month, hand to mouth, most people. And if they should sack them from the workplace within 2 months, it will be a disaster. So that is a struggle. If you cannot keep your lifestyle, if the salary does not come in for the next 6 months, you're struggling financially. If your children cannot go to school because the salary was not paid, or if they fired you, like the way a lot of companies are, being restructured now, many people that you thought were doing well are not going to do well because why? Just 2 months after them being sacked from the place, they have nothing. Why? Because it was all a struggle. It's because you and I, we didn't know. So we thought that they were doing well. If you're depending on the salary, it's a struggle. If you have to check your salary every month, it's a struggle. That's a fact of life. We cannot deny it, no matter how much is coming in. If you have to check it and spend it, if you had to spend it, we are in which month? August. If you spend July's salary and you didn't invest it anywhere, you just have to use it to pay the house or to pay the school fees or to buy the clothes, those things. You needed them for the livelihood. It's a struggle, no matter how many years you've been working. It's a struggle. And it doesn't matter how much came in. It's a struggle. And that is how the world operates now. Maybe 90% of the world's population go through this all our lives. And I think it's not good. And part of it is because the education that they gave us was not education for us to be to live above the struggles, the financial struggles. And then the other thing is the fact that we were conditioned to look for salary work, and so all our lives we depend on it. And for most people, salary means that wait for it at the end of the month. Salary does not mean wait for it at the end of the month. It means that they are paying you for the work that you have done within the month, but you don't necessarily have to live on that money. So maybe the first few months that you started work, you could depend on it. But after 1 year, 2 years, if you have to wait for it to move, then it's a struggle. It's a financial struggle. And the other thing is that don't wait for anybody to declare that they have to make you rich before you become rich. That's one of the things that I've seen people of faith have done to themselves. So they wait, they're always waiting for some one word somewhere. It's a build-up, it's a practice, it's a disposition. It's not one time. And so what you're learning about money, don't wait for those. It's not a miracle. Going against the financial struggle, being able to live beyond that and above it is not something that somebody else has to do. It's a lifestyle. If you get 1,000, the decisions that you are making on the 1,000, after a while, those decisions should make you not to depend on salary and be able to keep your lifestyle and have revenues coming, without you struggling and worrying and thinking about where to pay them. Because the fact is that most parents are worried when to pay the next school fees, when the next rent is coming from, and where the next rent is coming from. When the child is sick, we have to worry, where do I get the money to take care of that child? This is how people go through life. And it's because we probably did not have the right financial knowledge. So it's not good. It's not good. It's not good. And it's a fact of life. Most people, when they are sick and they go to hospital and the bill is very huge, that's their end. That is their end, because it's a struggle. We struggle all our lives with finances. It's not good. I've seen people, parents, friends, brothers and sisters. We go through it. Some of them building businesses and it's all financial struggles. Some of them working for salary and it's all financial struggles. It's not like we spend out of our abundance. I think that life was meant to live out of the abundance, and it is the knowledge that we have. You don't have to even be a millionaire, but at least the expenditure that you have every month. Let's say you spend 1,000 every month. If you have 12,000, at least that can take care of you for the next 12 months. That reduces the struggle. So having enough or having more coming and having a particular lifestyle at a certain stage where you have more than what goes out will help in terms of the struggle. Will help. So at least if you don't help anybody, yourself, you will not struggle all your life like that. And because the thing is, if you struggle financially all your life expectancy, life expectancy is affected because almost every time there's pressure. Almost every time there's pressure at home, there's pressure on your health, there's pressure on your children. It's not good. So we just have to do something about it. Right? So the lack of financial knowledge probably is the bottom line of it. Is the bottom line of it. So the first one, don't wait for anybody to teach you. Uh, don't believe that the education that they gave you is able to prepare you enough to overcome financial struggles. Don't believe it. Don't believe it. You need more than what they gave you. Don't believe it. They gave you that education to give you a profession, but not to overcome financial struggles. Not to overcome financial struggles. So the education is a problem. And then the dependence on salary is also a problem. They have told us so much, so you work every day, salary, 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 salary. And some of them will go for overdraft, salary, salary. You have worked for 20 years, every day you're struggling, waiting for salary. That's a pain. It's not the best way to live life. And the other thing is, a lot of us, because we don't know, we don't have anywhere to go, we are relying. That's why these little boys who have opened churches everywhere are taking advantage of people. Most of the people who go there don't have. That's the fight. They don't have. Some of them, if they had what to do and they knew they had enough to take care of themselves, most of them will not go there. The other day, I saw a video of this guy who is insulting everybody because people go there out of frustration. Most people don't go to church to serve God. They go there to look for better life. And that's a promise that they have given us. But that's not it. You are responsible for your finances. So if you plan it and you take hold of it well, you will be able to correct it. If you leave it and hope that one day, you get a word from somewhere, you'll be disappointed. You struggle. I've seen people within their 70s still struggle. All their lives struggling. All their lives struggling. And the next one, or the fourth one, is the lack of financial knowledge. It's the lack of it. Do you understand money? What are decisions that you make with money? What are the things that do you know the terminologies of money? If you're a footballer, you know the terms, you know the game, you know the rules. If you're a technician, electrician, you know when they show you this is a breaker, you know it. When they show you this is a switch, you know it. It's a profession. The same with money. What you know about money is responsible for at least your ability to overcome the financial struggles. So if you don't know anything about it, or if you don't know, most people, when we get the money, let's face it, the decisions that we make with the money, those are the things that have been responsible for the struggles that we have had all our lives. Because the things that we call very important are not important. The things that we call that are not important are not important. So for the average person, when he wants to get money and go and build a house, so put all the money in the house. By the time he finishes, he struggles all his life. For the average person, he has to save money to go and buy a car. And once he buys the car, he struggles all his life. For the average person, he has to send his children to very, 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 very good school, even if he can afford it. Because for him, it means that he's giving his children good education. Not necessarily so. Not necessarily so. So the choices that we make on money, they are responsible for what we have become. So if you can overcome the struggles, it's in your choice. You should know that you don't have to entirely depend on salary. You have to have a plan to live beyond the salary. The next one is the education that they have given us. It does not solve money problems. It solves maybe employment problem, not money. And the next one is you don't wait for another prophet somewhere to make you rich. The power is in your hands. It's not in another person's hands. And the next one is upgrade your financial knowledge. Build yourself. Nobody else is responsible for your life. Build yourself. Most Ghanaians are always waiting for to beat them. That is what the prophets are making them to believe. So it's because it's a business now. They know that the people are desperate. They don't know much, and they can believe it because if they mention the name of God, it means that let's face it. If you mention the name of God, I would want to give you respect because I honor God. So anybody who comes in that kind of name can easily trick us. It's not necessarily that they were called by God, but they come and they open the Bible and they can take money from us and they give us hope. But these financial struggles don't go away. And for me, if anybody is telling you something, you should be able to test them. So he told you this in 2002. Now you are in 2018. It's the same results that you're having. It means that it's not true. It's not true. And let's face it, or the prosperity that they are telling us, there's no fundamentals. There are no foundations to those teachings. They just tell you that God will make you rich. But how? Nobody teaches that. You're not going to be rich because you went to church and raise your hand. No. There has to be productivity. There has to be activities. There has to be something that you're doing that people are ready to pay for. There has to be something that you're doing that creates the prosperity. It's not just the cloud that they have created for us. So once you go to church and somebody pours some oil on you, it means that you'll be rich. That's a lie. That's a lie. Those are lies. And that can delay you. That can make you struggle all your life. Because the little you have that you can do something with, you again go and you go to give it to them as well. You could do something with it. If nobody had told you that lie, you probably could trade with that money and maybe you will succeed with that. But now they take offering, they take tithe, they take consultancy fee. It's a business. So you are the one short change. They will get the money because everybody is bringing them money, but you will struggle. And that is one of the things that are making people struggle all their lives because they're hoping that the word that guy has said will make them rich. Every now and then they will bring somebody to give testimony. Why? If I go to stand in front of 10,000 people and say anything, I can guarantee you that at least I will get 10 people who will say what I said came true. And I may never have done anything. So it's a game that they are playing. And if they catch you, then you'll struggle. Because your financial difficulties are not going to go because somebody else somewhere left at his hand. It's because you are making the right decisions with the finances. That's why it's going to solve. And so the Ghanaians as we are, the Africans that we are, some things have not just gone rightly. So financial struggles can be all, and most people struggle all their lives. Parents, grandparents, children who become adults, they struggle all their lives. Doctors struggle, lawyers, judges, engineers, police people, politicians. He's in power now, he's enjoying. Tomorrow when he's not in power, go and look for him. It's all struggle. The police officer, he's living in the government's bungalow, no problem. When he goes on retirement, go and look for him and say, it's a struggle. Why? Because they did not put in place structure to overcome the financial struggle. The financial struggle, for me, 90% of the world's population are the threat of that. Whether they are the bottom line, the very poor, those that they call very, very poor, or those that they call working class, or those that they call middle class, they are all in the threat. It's a threat to everybody. I mean, for your country, whether you are poor or you're so-called middle, because I don't believe there's anything middle anyway. It's either you're rich or you're poor. But at least they categorize the poverty. So they say that some people are very poor, some people are just in the middle, some people are somewhere, but it's all threat. They all struggle financially. They all struggle. There are a lot of people whose household income, now the world household income is very little. So just about 2-3% of the world population are living in the billions or in the millions. The rest are struggling. And it's not because they all have to even have millions. No. They just have to understand that this is my life and this is what is needed to keep this life. So the decisions that I'm making, I make them so that I can have enough to take care of my family, to take care of my children, and to support others if I have. And so you can live your life, choose your life, live within the structured plan that you have, and not to worry so much. Because when you see workers, the friends that you work, you ask them at the end of the month, when they pay them, how many days does it? Most of them just few days, and they are back to square one. You know, they're back to square one because if they want to build a house, they want to build 3 bedroom, they want to build 10 bedroom house. If they want to buy a car, they want to buy Land Cruiser. They don't have it. Because of the training, because of the financial knowledge, because they want to look like they are rich or they are successful. So the financial struggles are affecting a lot of people. Tomorrow is Monday. You see that most people are just in a hurry going to work. And the reason they are going to work is because of what? It's not because they love Ghana. Very few people. They are going to work because they need a salary. If they are not paid at the end of August, there will be trouble. There will be disaster. They cannot move. The children will not go to school. They will sack them from where they live because it's a struggle. They are wearing nice suit, but their account is in red. Their account is in red. Their account is in red because the little financial knowledge that we grew up with. The little financial knowledge that we grew up with. So my name is Obindako. I've talked about 4 factors that can help, that contribute to financial struggle all lifelong. And I said that is the education. The education is not good. They have structured the educational system said that we trivialize money and its impact after school. So if you go to school, you think that you've been trained to be a psychologist. It means that you've been taught well. It's not so. Then you become a psychologist in a clinic somewhere, and your salary is not enough. Then you see that every day you are worried. And then they told us that once you get job, you get salary, that will be fine. So a lot of people have grown up with salary as the basis of prosperity. Salary cannot make you rich, not the ones that they give here. So that will create pressure for you. The other thing is that they have also now everybody is giving us anointing water, anointing oil, prophet. Some people are even putting powder on their face so that people will become rich. They tell you that somebody else is sitting on your prosperity. Nobody is sitting on anybody's prosperity. Nobody. So the moment you follow those people, you struggle. You struggle. You struggle. You struggle. And then the other one is lack of financial knowledge. If you don't have the right financial knowledge, you will struggle. And so you correct that. How can police do so? I don't know. It's because I think it's the system. The system has been let loose. So until we tight up the system, people will take advantage of everybody. And so lack of financial knowledge is contributing to the struggles. Because if you don't know much, you won't do much. If you don't know better, you can do better. So and life it's not like you can leave and break and go home and come back. Life is continuous. Somebody said that life is a full-time job. You don't it's a full-time business. You don't take a holiday from life. And life itself is tough. So if the financial difficulties come to join it, then it's more stressful. So thank you very much for watching. JC, thank you very much for watching.